It's the When Fishing Podcast. Applying techniques.
Then I put the C rigs on the A rigs.
Bringing fresh ideas.
They can't all be good ones.
Talking stories. Reports.
About 5 knots out of the wind.
Conservation.
You're probably too close.
All to make you and I better fishermen. Hello. Long time no talk. All of 2 weeks or something. Trying to get balanced with a new job and trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to balance this. I might have to push recordings to Sundays as I'm doing right now. And I need to find time to fish. But also the wind has not been cooperative. So, Saturday night bat fight. That happened. Ventura won it. Congratulations, Ventura. Every other county, minus me, was able to put up something. Everybody got like a mid 30-inch bat, mid-size, medium bat. I got a flat tire on the way to the beach. Put on the spare, got all the way to the beach, got no bites, realized I forgot the measuring tape, so even if I caught one, it would not have been validated, so that was sad. But, yeah, that was the only time I fished this week. I meant to get out in the morning or after work or something, probably in the morning, for like a green sunfish hunt or a pleco hunt. I've got a body of water or two to try to find these new species, but I have not done that. I'm just trying to sleep or rest my weary bones. So, yeah, that's it for my reports for the last week or even two. And then I did forget to mention a shore fishing trip from 2 weeks ago, I think. Went out with Jared and friends, and we were looking for halibut, and they found them big time. They, between three of them, they caught 5 halibut in probably a 20-30 minute period, on various things. And then I was not able to get anything. I broke my rod tip and, kind of missed half the bite, just going back to the car to grab the telescoping rod. So, it'd be like that sometimes. So, yeah. So halibut may or may not be around. Was that replicable? Probably not. The past couple weeks, the bluefin have been showing up in the counts. Apparently they're in full day range. I think they're still in Mexican waters or farther offshore or something like that. I don't really know or care until they're super local, but I bet they are. We'll see. I've heard things, but I don't know. Nothing verified. But yeah, bluefin are starting to show up, so get that bluefin fever going. And then the 14-mile bank has been producing rockfish for the private boaters and the party boaters. They're getting bankies, specks, Mexican rockfish, black gills, sunsets, and bocacios, paisanos. So that's a thing. I think that's out in the open now. That's a decent rockfish spot if you're willing to drive over there. I've been meaning to get over there. I just haven't had the time now. Today actually might have been a good day. I don't know. The wind may or may not. I don't know. It was probably a good day. I think I missed my shot. Oh well. So yeah, the water's been a bit short period. Been kind of tough to get out in a boat when I'm starting work at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. or 10 a.m. different days, different things. And regardless, it's hard to get out on the boat before work. It's just just early enough start that it doesn't quite make sense for me. Um, so that's rough. It's not that bad. We'll figure it out. I'll make money. But yeah, that's it for the you know reports. So. Well, since I haven't been fishing, I've been tripping a little bit on tackle. So since I broke my surf rod last week, I'm trying to think about what I can replace it with. I had a Fenwick HMX. It was a 9'6", 1/4 to 3/4 ounce steelhead rod, and it was pretty nice. I the last thing I had on it was like a 1,000 size spinning reel, and that actually worked really nicely. I really liked that. And then and the 2500 spinning reel had a kind of a funky balance to it, to where like when I was casting, my finger holding the line right before release my hand like wanted to balance like a little bit too high up, so then like the line would come off the reel before I wanted it to during the cast. So it made me feel like a fucking noob. So but once I switched down to the 1000, I really didn't have that problem anymore. So I feel like it was kind of a balance issue. But yeah, I was starting to like the rod, and I broke it. So what happened, I think, was I dropped my PVC boat seat where I was storing it way too high up in my storage unit, and dropped it onto my rods, which was fucking super smart. And the noises over there. And once I did that, I was like, all right, well, my steelhead rod is going to break next time I use it, almost for sure, because that's really what took the most of the fall. But my Steez rods might all shatter in the next few times I use them. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so I might hit up Fenwick to see if they'd be willing to replace it. I doubt it. I'll be honest with them. And if not, then I see that there's a deal. There's some deals on Okuma steelhead rods for like the Guide Selects and the SSTs on fishfield.com. I've bought from there a couple times before. They have good deals on rods and some other stuff if you're patient. But yeah, the Okuma Guide Selects, the Okuma SSTs seem okay. The Daiwa Saltist SP Inshore is like a specially built for Southern California surf, so I'm kind of interested to see those. The Okuma Rockaway Light Inshore, there's something that they built especially for SoCal surf, and or if I would just go with Fenwick HMX again, because it looks nice, but and it performed pretty well. And then the next problem is, do I want to stick with like the 3/4 ounce as the max lure weight? Because I do like the tippiness with how dinky the fish are in Orange County, but it would be nice to have like a higher weight rating for like when I'm fishing like afternoon winds and stuff. Just throwing it straight into the wind, like it's nice to have, a 1 ounce, 1.5 ounce, or if I want to throw a crankbait, it'd be nice to have something that's like 1 ounce plus. Those like LC Flash minnows, they don't, they cast pretty well, but they only cast so well when you're casting them into the wind. And then if you have like a 3+ foot swell, then you're not covering that much water. Sorry about it. So yeah, trying to figure out what I want to do there, because like in the mornings it's nice to have that like lighter tip, and then in the afternoons it's nice to have the heavier tip. Why not get both eventually? But what's the first one I'm going to pick up? Who knows? But yeah, the idea of throwing heavier crankbaits made me look more into finding some denser crankbaits. So I found three in particular that seem promising. I've not bought them yet, but the Rapala X-Rap long cast, you can find them. They're 4 3/4 inches and 3/4 of an ounce. So that's pretty dense compared to like the Lucky Craft Flash Minnow is like 5 inches and change and 5/8 of an ounce. So like a little less dense. And then the Duo Realis 110 is also, I think it's also 4 3/4 inches and 5/8 of an ounce. And then the Yozuri Magmino 105, I think, is 4 3/4 inches and 5/8 of an ounce. So at least it's not as heavy as the X-Wrap, but it's gonna cast better than the LC. But LC produces, but might sleep in too late for the calm morning casting period. So there's that. And then I've also been looking into planers for offshore fishing, like for kind of slower trolling presentations, I would suppose. There's the Old Salty planer boards, which are like I think they're steel or aluminum or something like that, and they're in various sizes so that you can get it down for anywhere from like 5 to 10 feet down to, I think, like 70 feet or something like that. And that's more of like a straight down planer board. So I feel like I might want to try that for bluefin and other things in the near future. And then there's also the Castaways Magnetic Dipsy Diver. I think dipsy divers are more common for like walleye trolling and shit, like lake trolling, lake trout. But I see they do have some super magnum sizes for presumably saltwater, and I want to try those because those will the dipsy divers you can adjust, and then they'll go to port or starboard, and you can take them like 1, 2, 3 clicks, and they'll go a certain distance away from the boat off to the side. So that would be really nice for a small boat trolling. Put something off to the port, something off to starboard, have something way off shotgun, then maybe have like a down rod or something, and then I'll have way too many lines to handle on my own. But it would be interesting. So yeah, I'm thinking about that stuff. Nobody really talks about planers on for SoCal trolling, so it's something I'm looking into. We'll see. And then I've been a fan. Another thing I've been thinking about switching over. I gotta burn through this stuff, but I've got a bunch of Ande Pink mono from 50 pounds. I've got like 50, 60, 80, 100, 120, 150, I think. And it's good. I haven't gotten that many bites on it. The idea I had for it, was to use like if you have like off color instead of clear mono, then it's got a similar refractive index to like fluorocarbon compared to like clear mono. It's like going to reflect some amount of sunlight. So I got the Ande Pink to be a substitute for fluoro because I'm too poor to be using that much heavy duty fluoro in like that 50 plus pound category. It's ridiculous. But the Ande Pink definitely looks like a vomity color over the top of braid and like white braid and stuff. So I kind of want to switch over to like the Iserline XXX copolymer. I like the idea of that in the smoke color. And I've been playing around with the numbers and like what I would really be using as far as like different size lines. And if I could like right now I have almost every line class, I think, which is kind of, now that I have them all and I'm not using them, I'm like, okay, like, so I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 20. I lost the 20. I don't know where it is. I used up my 25. Thank God. 30. I had 40. I don't know where it is. 50, 60, 80, 100, 120, 150. That's a lot of line classes. I seem to only be using. I use a lot of 15, 30, decent amount of 100, and then like I'm kind of like playing around a lot with what I'm using, like sub 12, um, because it's like I do a little bit of bay fishing, which is nice to have like 10 to 12, sometimes 8. Surf fishing is like 6 to 8, but like ultralight, I'll use 4. I haven't even opened up the 2. 2 is ridiculous, but as like a species nerd, I it's gonna come in handy eventually. I am assured. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking that in the future, I might just stick to um, like 2, 4, 8, 15, 30, 50, 100, and then maybe like 300 or something, just for that. Like, it's like, okay, you want to go above 100, like you clearly don't give a shit about being line shy, so use the biggest stuff. I think that 120 and 150 seem like 120 is probably like the limit. Or I can tie a San Diego Jam with 120 or 150. Just use like 2 or 3 twists, and it's just fine. I mean, like Ande is at least soft enough to do that. I don't know about like fluoro. I know that's like really hard to tie knots in sometimes, so that's why people go over to the crimping. But I don't really trust the crimping with mono yet. I've done it, but I don't really like it. And then I've been hearing from the East Coast that some guys, there's at least one guy who's catching giant bluefin. Of course, they're in shallower water than over here, and that's a whole discussion. But they're using, he doesn't use more than 100-pound leader while using like lures and things like that. And they're able to land like 500 plus pound fish on up to like nearly granders, I think. And so that gives me the idea that I mean they have bigger fish over there. Like I'm probably in my range. I'm probably not gonna run into more than like 200 pounders, so I could probably get away with using just 100-pound leader like max. And then like as far as if I'm gonna be chasing swords anytime in the near future, I think my 150 will come in handy for that. Maybe 300 in the future, and then maybe like sharks. Well, sharks I would just use like the 7-strand line or single strand or whatever the fuck. Um, so yeah, I really like the idea of just switching over to like 8, 15, 30, 50, 100. Boom, done. Think you could do just about everything with that. Maybe have the 4 and the 2 down, way down for special reasons, for weddings and parties. But what was that? So since I don't have that much to say, I do want to like supplement what I'm doing. I still want to like keep up with this podcast. But I thought I'd share the story of the last time that I went on a sport boat, cattle boat ride, head boat ride, and why I don't go anymore. You'll understand. So I went. This was like at the end of 2020. I wanted to get in on like the yellowfin tuna bite on an overnight trip. I'd done one previously, and it was like an easy limit of like football yellowfin, like 5 to 10 pounds, and then like I think we found some yellowtail a little bit later or something. I don't think I got any that time. So this time I wanted to go out on my own, and so I went on the Old Glory out of. It's either Fisherman's or H&M Landing. Sorry about it. But it was a good boat. It's a good boat. They are not the reason I don't go. Great crew and everything like that. So I went down there. Like they were filling up on football yellowfin tuna again, and then there was some yellowtail in the count. So I hadn't caught a yellowtail before, so I was like, okay, this would be a good time to get one and bring home a bunch of nice food fish for the winter. So I get to the dock, I sign in at like I don't know 8 p.m. and the boat leaves at like 10, and then I like put my stuff down in like the line at the dock, and the guy ahead of me is like he's holding a beer, he's drunk, and he's like, "Hey, bro, like why are you wearing that mask, fag, or whatever?" Sorry, uh, and I'm like, "Oh, did you hear about COVID? Like, this is like middle of COVID. Like, I knew that I was probably gonna let down the mask eventually during the boat ride because it's just gonna be like hot, and not really functional. So you going on a boat during COVID was like you accept the responsibility, or you accept the risk of your actions and stuff. So that's what I was out there. And so he's like trying to like razz me in his own stupid way, and he's like, I can tell he's just gonna be trouble. Like he's like, "Oh, like you should roast me right now, bro." And I'm like, I don't fucking know you. Like, how about I get to know you and I'll like roast the shit out of you as like the day goes on, because I definitely don't like you. And uh, so he's like, "Yeah, it sounds good." And it's like, okay, whatever. And so we all get on the boat, um, and then we're driving down. I don't know, like the boat is going. So we leave, at about we get out of the harbor, San Diego Bay, at about 11 p.m. or so after we picked up bait and all that shit, and then um, and he's like continuing to be like a little prick, and then and so everybody's about to go to sleep, or everybody's pretty much going to sleep in the bunks, except for him, I guess, and he's in the galley, and then and the next thing we know, we hear a bunch of bumping up in the galley. We're down in the bunks, right? It's like directly below the galley. So we hear all this like bumping around, and we're like, Jesus, what is going on? Like that's kind of making me uncomfortable. And then um and then next thing we know, we like hear the engines do something a little different, and then we feel like the G's of like a turn, and it's like, oh, okay, what just happened? And then the captain comes on the PA, and he's like, "Hey, everybody, sorry, but that guy just got into a fight with the crew, and we've detained him, and we're gonna have to turn around and drop him off with the harbor police. So really sorry, but we're gonna, after we drop him off, we're gonna book it back out, and we'll get to the grounds just in time for sunrise. So." Really sorry, but that's what we're doing. It's like, Jesus Christ. So we get up, we come out of the bunks and like see what the hell happened. And the dude is face down, zip tied like multiple times around the legs and arms, face down on the ground. And like, then we get the story from like the deckhands. Apparently he, was, psychologically unhinged. See, he might have been on something more than just alcohol. Certainly was something more than alcohol. Whether that was like fentanyl or whatever, who knows? But apparently, he got into a fight with the crew, and then he went into the bathroom and he came out and flung his own shit at the crew, and it like got all over the galley and got on the crew, and so they like they waylaid on him, and rightfully so. And then we drove 3 hours back to the harbor, dropped him off, filed the report for like 20 minutes, and then went back out. So that was a long boring bummer, and we got out onto the fishing grounds. Like they marked a kelp patty like the days before, and so we got out there a little bit late, and we missed like what they were able to do previous days was get their limit on the yellowfin tuna like really quick, and then go spend the rest of the day looking for yellowtail, and we just weren't able to catch up to that kelp line in time for sunrise. So we like the first patty we stopped at, we started picking off some yellowtail, and then And then throughout the day, we were pretty much picking off. For the first few hours, we were picking off yellowtail, and then eventually the whole boat got their limits, and they were like kind of ratty. They were probably in like the first one I caught was like 10 inches. Threw that one back, and then the rest of them were probably in like the 5 to 8 pound range. There might have been a few nicer ones. I don't know. It was a couple years ago, but it was smaller yellowtail. We got our limit, and then we kept looking around for yellowfin tuna, and it was kind of a pick bite on them. And I was able to get my limit on the yellowfin tuna. I got like 4 yellowfin and 1 skipjack for the cats, and they so at the end of the day, I got my limit on the yellowtail, got my limit on my tuna. Happy boy. And I do like a challenge, so it was kind of nice to like work for those for my limit of the tuna. But then at the end of the day, they somehow like handed off my yellowtail to the wrong people or something. So all I got back were the yellowfin tuna. But whatever. But yeah, so what I gathered from that was I already bought my boat, the Mosquito, at that point, and I was still waiting on like the DMV to like approve of my like registration and stuff like that. But it was it just made me realize like okay, like the only way to like some fucking idiot can just ruin the trip for you, and that's my hard-earned money going into that trip, and like I'd like for it to not get ruined by some piece of shit asshole. So after that I was like, you know what, no, like I have my own boat now. I'm gonna do my own thing, and I'm not gonna be bothered by the next guy on the boat. So I mean, I've met some really nice people. It's all it like the cattle boat trips are always generally like pretty cool. I made some can't say I made friends, but I was very comfortable with a bunch of other people on that boat on the Old Glory. Like the crew was nice, and I met a couple of the regular passengers, and they were cool. But yeah, I just don't want to deal with certain personalities if I don't have to. So now I just go on my own. Go on my own. So yeah, but I do owe a lot of my experiences to being on the sport boats growing up, particularly Captain Hook's sport fishing. Shout out of Oxnard. Like I grew up going on the LEM and the New Bluefin, and then the Coraloma was like out of the water for like a decade, and then it came back. Then my dad was like, "Yeah, we got to go on that one. That's what he used to go on." And then we went on that while I was a 3/4 day boat, and then Chris Volosky took ownership of it, and then he was a great captain, and then he still is, and then he switched over to the new Hustler, which runs full day and overnight trips, and I think occasional 2 day trips, and and so he's really dialed on the white sea bass, and definitely has his ways with the rockfish. So yeah, I learned a lot from sport boats, from the white sea bass to the rockfish to the barracuda and the bass and all those things. It's a little bit different up in Ventura compared to down south towards like Long Beach and San Diego and Newport and stuff. Sand bass are still common down here, and sculpins like rampant. That's a little less of a thing up there. It's pretty much always rockfish now. The bass are much less consistent for whatever reason. I know my dad did well in like the 80s and 90s on the bass up there, and then I don't know what happened. Who knows? I've heard, at least recently, I don't think it explains, like, I don't know if it explains the disappearance of sand bass in like the 2000s in Ventura, but I know that as of late, the bluefin tuna that are being like penned up in like Mexico, uh, those like tuna ranchers will also seine sand bass, and then they'll like grind them up and then feed them to the bluefin, and in order to like plump up the bluefin. So that's uh I hear that's kind of a reason that the sand bass might be less prolific these days up here in SoCal at this point. So yeah, there's that. So, game plans for the week. I don't know if I'll be able to get out much at all this week. The best that I can hope for is that I am able to get out on that green sunfish hunt, which I should have done today. I probably still have time for it. Um, but yeah, so Monday, tomorrow, looks a wee bit choppy and windy for a small boat. Kind of continues into Tuesday. Wednesday looks pretty darn good, minus the tide. Tide doesn't looks kind of weak for most of the week because it's we're pretty much on like the half moon. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday looks like some nice glassy conditions. Very nice. Gotta get out. Gotta do it. Up, yeah. And so yeah, if you wanna get out, go do it in the small boat. Doesn't matter. In the big boat, it's definitely good. Good time to get out. And then toxicallypositivewindy.com says that it's gonna be 62, 63, upwards of 65-degree water temps by the end of the week. So that's a great thing. That means that the start of the pelagic season will be upon us. So that's pretty cool if you're into it. Might be a little bit tough with this week's tides. Maybe not. Maybe you can figure it out. I don't know. I'm not a master. I'm no black belt, but I'm just telling you, man. I'm just telling you like it is. So, yeah, and then on top of that the fresh water is definitely warming up now. Now that the air temps are really getting up there. Days getting longer. What's the sunset? It's like 7:30 now. So, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, the bass should be in spawn, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not looking at them. I'm not going to the lakes. I should be just to check it out. And